Hello. I want to talk about something really quickly. It's about how you can't run from yourself. You know, I know this is a time in particular to focus on higher ways of thinking and getting away from low vibrational type of behavior and low vibrational type of people. But here's what I want to say. The reason why I titled it that you can't run from yourself because you, when I listen to some people, and it's not a criticism because everybody's trying to work on themselves. I mean, the people who are speaking about these type of things, they appear to be making some kind of effort to elevate themselves. But here's the thing: when I hear some of them say, "Well, don't let somebody drag you back down. Don't let somebody drag you back down," or something could happen in your life when you're on the way to working on elevating yourself. Things come in your life to try to drag you back. I want to talk about, in my experience, why that happens. When things come back in your life trying to drag you back, it's something that was attached to you that is that could have been lying dormant. So you might not have been aware of it. So when somebody comes up in your life and act crazy like that, that is something that was lying dormant. And when you started doing the work necessary on yourself to elevate, that entity woke up like a volcano and realized that something is changing. And so you have things that appear to happen in the physical world that shows up that tries to keep you from elevating. So when people say things like, well, don't let them drag you back, like it's not them. It's something that's going on that's deep, that is within you, that is showing up as another person. That's what I realized. And so instead of trying to run away from people and trying to avoid people, now when I say trying to avoid people, I don't mean that you have to engage stupidity. You don't have to engage somebody who wants to be combative. Yeah, I realize that might show up in your life because it's something that's deep somewhere around. Um, you know, I want to sidebar for a second. I remember listening to a lady, I said this before, she channeled the main entity over the Church of Scientology, the particular God over the Church of Scientology. And that God said that the subconscious was created to keep people from ascending. That's the way he said it. That particular God said it. That the subconscious was created to keep people from ascending. So when you have stuff in your subconscious, a lot of stuff don't even belong to you. It's somebody else's. It could be somebody else's negative projections towards you that you didn't realize that when people say things and when people do certain things, you don't realize that actually affects you because you feel like it might not have hurt your feelings, or it could have been something that actually happened and could have happened a long time ago. You felt like you've risen above that, but that particular impression is still there. But oftentimes, a lot of stuff that's stored in your subconscious might not have even been something that you've been through. It could come from other people. Most of the stuff that's in my subconscious comes from other entities. But it comes from other entities because it had to start somewhere. And this is where I'm getting. It had to start somewhere because for it to even get there, it had to, a fall had to start somewhere. Before I got in this particular simulation where my mind, from my original mind, was completely fragmented to where I looked like a completely different person in my original body. I was in a completely different timeline. Okay? I was not in a simulation. It was a type of organic matrix, but it was not a simulation like this. Meaning I wasn't like fragmented. You know how people say that they have all these different versions of themselves? I wasn't fragmented like that in the more organic timeline. Uh, and something happened, and I know now what happened. In that first, in that very first time loop, in the more of an organic consciousness, something happened where something traumatic happened that allowed entities to attach. And then when that initial traumatic situation could happen, or whatever it is that could happen that could allow an entity to attach, if it is not removed, it just if you fall down further into what I call the rabbit hole, and fall down further into the subconscious mind, till you get to a point where you're in a completely false world, a completely simulated, copy and pasted world, like what we're in. Okay. And so what I'm saying is, yeah, it's true that you don't want to engage people who want to take you down a dark path that you don't want to go down. But at the same time, you can't. It's hard to really elevate the way you want to, or sing or whatever language, and not remove some of those things that could be deep. A lot of things are very, very, very deep that you might not even be aware that's even there. That's why forgiveness is important. And when I say forgiveness, it's not about forgiveness of another person. Take your mind off of another individual, because it's not about the other individual. Forgiveness is releasing all of those things that causes you to be heavy. Everything that causes you to be more dense. Okay? Releasing all those things. Because you can try to raise your vibration as much as possible. And you can try to do all these things, but if those things that are deep within that you are not might not be aware of, if they are not removed and what you call it transmuted or whatever, then you can try to raise yourself up all you want to, and you can raise yourself up to the point where you can feel for maybe 2 years, you feel like, oh, I'm on a high vibration, I'm on, doing well. Then all of a sudden, those dormant entities that was never addressed because you might not have been aware that they were there, something happens where you pull back down and you wonder what happened, what did I do wrong? No, you didn't do anything wrong. You got to realize that you can't just move up without moving away. It's like you're trying to move up and you got this big anchor at the bottom that you don't realize is there, and you keep going up and you keep going up and you keep going up, and let's say like the stretch, like maybe the rope or the band is it's so much room in that rope that you're going up and you're going up and you're ascending to the point where you feel like there's no blockages, you feel like you cleared everything because you're able to move up smoothly. But you didn't realize how much room this rope had, how long this rope was. And you finally get to a point, to your peak of what you call ascension. Something happens to drag you back down and you're trying to figure out what you did wrong. And it was something that was really deep that you had no clue that was there. But it was still an anchor, and what happened is that rope finally got tight. That rope finally got tight, and now it's pulling you back down. You can't go any further up, and now it's going to have to pull you back down, basically. So that's why I can't try to figure out every little thing that's going on. See, for me, I can't try to figure out every single thing. Let me get every little thing that could have happened in my life, or everything, I can't do all of that. So I just go with forgiveness. That's it. Forgiveness. Forgive everything. That's it. Just forgiveness. Because I can't be trying to figure out every little thing that's in the subconscious. I can't be trying to figure out that. It'll be 1,000 years and you still will not figure out every single thing. You won't do it. So I just keep it clear and say forgive everything ASAP. Forgive everything now. That's it. Forgiveness. And every single day, like take 7 days to just meditate on forgiveness. And people that unfortunately a lot of folks are not going to make it, and I understand it, but that doesn't pardon them, even though I get it. People are not going to do it because they want to focus on what somebody else did to them. They're going to keep thinking that it's about somebody else. They're going to keep thinking that it's about somebody else because of the way that forgiveness has been explained in it has been most explained in Christianity as actually forgiving somebody else. Got your mind on somebody else. When forgiveness is just releasing. It's just releasing. It's releasing all of those things that weigh you down. Basically, it's just releasing all of those things that weigh you down. Okay? Because something could be weighing you down that you haven't even thought about, that you didn't even know was there. Some things could have happened where you were blacked out. Some things could have happened where you were just unaware that it happened. Because people are wicked and they do things. People actually do spiritual work. I don't like to call it spiritual. I don't like this word spiritual for wicked behavior like that. Because the spiritual realm, the real spiritual realm, is on a much higher vibration where you just cannot engage in that kind of behavior. To get into the real spiritual realm, you have to be as light as a feather. That means you can't have no weights on you. You cannot have any weights. To get into the spiritual realm, you have to be as light as a feather. So when I don't even want to use the term spiritual work, that is not spiritual. I don't even want to use that term anymore. They're doing some kind of work, but it ain't spiritual. Okay, where they are involved in having other entities attack somebody else, and these entities are probably more what you would call 4D astral entities that people feel like it's the spiritual world and it's not. You cannot have that kind of vibration and have those kind of intentions in the spiritual world because you can't be that heavy. I mean, for those kind of thoughts to come up in a person's mind to do wicked stuff and nasty stuff to somebody else, they are already on a lower vibration, lower consciousness, and you just cannot be in the spiritual world like that. You're too heavy. You're too heavy. Okay? But anyway, yeah, that's it. I just want to talk about how you can't run away from yourself. So when things come in your life that and you like, well, I can't let such and such pull me down and just try to stay away. What you're going to do is you're going to end up constantly trying to avoid and constantly trying to run. And what that does is that puts you in fear. See, if you're living your life like, I got to stay on this high vibration, I got to stay in these higher mind, I got to stay in these higher thoughts, and you constantly waking up and every day you feel like, oh, let me stay away from this, let me stay away from that, try to avoid this, try to avoid that right now, try to avoid it. If you're living your life constantly trying to avoid something, you're already in fear. You're already in fear. Just let it go. Because that's bringing you down low right there. If you're in fear to stay away from certain type of things and to avoid certain people because you know it'll bring you back down and you feel like you have to avoid it, that you already have something that's pulling you down just by feeling like you have to avoid something. Okay? What I basically do is I just realized, I actually saw this, I actually had a vision that was the answer, that forgiveness was the answer. I had a vision. And I'm not religious at all. I'm not religious. But I had a vision that forgiveness is the answer, but it's not forgiveness of another person. It's releasing all of those things that drag you down. Now here's the tricky thing. This is the thing about forgiveness that I don't think I've ever heard anybody say. When you release all those things that make you heavy, or basically forgiveness, a lot of that stuff might be return to sender. Forgiveness might be the biggest return to sender than the actual ritual itself, or the actual return to sender itself. Like you just say, return to sender. Actually, forgiveness might be the strongest return to sender. Because when you release everything, you releasing stuff. I mean, everything is just being released. And when it is released for good from you, those energies, those thought forms, those entities got to find somewhere to attach to. And they're probably going to attach back to the person that it originally came from. So, yeah, forgiveness might be the strongest return to sender. But anyway, with that being said, I'll talk.